We're having a problem with this as a country right now. How are we dealing with it? Part of the way we are dealing with it is by good investigative reporting. Joining us now is Phillip Martin. He is a senior investigative reporter for GBH News, which is an NPR station in Boston. Mr. Martin, it's a pleasure to have you with us tonight. Thank you very much.
Rachel, thank you. Much appreciated.
Let me just ask if there's anything else that you've been able to report out about this disturbing demonstration, this group that showed up at the hospital in Boston. Is there anything that you can tell us about the size of this group, the other kind of stuff that they've been doing?
We can talk about the size to some degree. Your summary, by the way, was excellent. The size, this has always been a minute and fringe organization. But right now, they're part of what you see as a trend, the mainstreaming of extremism. This is a fringe group that has suddenly attracted new members. We know that because the Anti-Defamation League of New England has been counting them and said that the demonstration outside of the Brigham and Women's Hospital that you pointed out was larger than most of their demonstrations. On most occasions, they might attract 4 or 5 people. This time, they've attracted about 24 people. That is still small when we talk about organizations. But as far as an extreme right neo-Nazi organization, it's considered significant.
One of the things that I thought was really interesting about your reporting, Phillip, was to contextualize this over time. This is not the first time these doctors have been targeted, including by name. And in this case, it was very disturbing to have their photos distributed, right, at their place of work. It's also not the same time the hospital has been targeted. I was really interested to have you put that in context in terms of the kinds of scholarly work they've done. So some of the pioneering research those doctors took part in was about heart failure. Patients in the hospital with heart failure have better outcomes when they're put on the cardiology unit rather than being treated in general medicine. These doctors were among a research team that found that, all things being equal, Black and Latino patients with heart failure were less likely to be put in the cardiology unit. And that's where you get better outcomes. It was a really specific kind of racial health disparity that they identified, that they proved, and that they've since been trying to fix. I just want to make sure that I understand that right. That's the first time I had known about the link between those doctors and that research in your reporting. And is that part of the way they're being targeted for that kind of work?
Well, that's right. What you and many others, most people would call sort of striving for equity and equality in medicine, trying to get past the legacy of what Harriet Washington called medical apartheid. Trying to create justice within the medical field, they identified a specific problem. That is, as you pointed out, that Black, Latino, Latinx patients were not receiving the same quality of care. And therefore, they wanted to level the playing field within the hospital system. That has been described by neo-Nazis, who are essentially echoing others, such as Donald Trump, I'm afraid. That has been described as preferential treatment and anti-white. They are indeed echoing a sentiment that is widespread on social media, where the minute you mention equity in the context of medicine and many other things for that matter, it's construed as anti-white. It's a very insidious type of propaganda that we're hearing right now that years ago would have been considered fringe. And it's now, it has now it's flooded into the mainstream. And that's what we're dealing with right now, Rachel.
You know, Mr. Martin, I sort of tried to put this in context a little bit in terms of the medical community in Boston. Because right. Boston has a big, powerful healthcare community. It is some of the best hospitals in the world. They do attract medical talent from all over the world. Now that this harassment and targeted harassment of individual doctors and to a certain degree individual hospitals has reached this level of scary and, frankly, to my eyes, disgusting levels, is there any sign that these doctors who have been personally targeted and terrorized like this, and the hospital too, are they getting support? Are they getting backup from the broader and, as I say, powerful, influential medical community in Boston and around New England?
To a large degree, yes. The American Medical Association, for example, the AMA, traditionally a very conservative organization, not always known for being within the racial progress vanguard, if you will. Their equity efforts are led by a doctor who has done quite a bit, Aletha Maybank, who has been working tirelessly to basically create equity as the chief equity officer for the American Medical Association. They introduced a plan to attack structural racism within the medical field, and particularly within the AMA. And these doctors in Boston are also receiving support from fellow doctors within the teaching hospitals, but specifically at Harvard Medical School. Perhaps not as robust as it should be, and they're working on that. They recognize that there are internal problems within the organization, and they're basically zeroing in on that. It's the reason also why this report today, the GBH report that you referenced, we focus, yes, at the top on the neo-Nazis demonstrating and threatening these doctors, but we also zero in on their research. Very important. And that research is, in fact, receiving support around the country of doctors like Manisha Sharma in California, and equity networks of various sorts, equal access, various grassroots and progressive organizations that are targeting the causes of inequality and injustice within the medical field.
Yeah. Part of it is being targeted and getting backup and getting defense when that happens. But part of it is sticking to your guns and not being intimidated out of doing this work, no matter what anybody else tries to make it into. Phillip Martin, senior investigative reporter for GBH News in Boston. Mr. Martin, thank you for your work, and thank you for helping us understand it tonight. I appreciate it, sir.
Rachel, I thank you. Thank you for having me on.
All right.